Hello concert band, hope everyone's doing fine. I put some music in your Google Classroom. There's two selections. One is called Fundamentals for Band and the other is a method book. For right now we're going to be looking at Fundamentals for Band. So go ahead and get that up. I'll give you just a second. You can find it. You can pause the video and when you've got it you can come back. Okay, we're going to look at find your page, and we're looking at number 2, long tones. On long tones, I'm going to set my metronome at 80 beats per minute, and we're going to hold these notes full value and play through line 2. So you can do that with me. I'll count you off. 1, 2, 3. Now we can repeat that exercise a couple of times. Just rest for a few seconds between to let the blood get back in your lips and then play it again. For now I'm moving on to number 3.01, articulation. I want you to listen to me play this one time and count with me. Then the second time I want you to play with me. Okay, fingering count with me this time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you're going to play with me this time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so you can do that a couple of times until you get that even. If you have a metronome at home, you should be able to get one on your phone if you don't have one, and you can practice these without the video as well as with them. So now we're going to move on to 302 where we have 16th notes. We'll count this pattern: 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. I'll play it this time. I want you to finger with them and count out loud while I'm playing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We can do that again. Now this time, I want you to play with me. So we're going to get your horns ready to play. 1, 2, 3. Alright, you can repeat that as many times as you would like. Now looking at number 4, flexibility. The notes are going to be a little different in this for some instruments. You're going to hear me go lower when your notes are going higher, but your notes will still fit with what I'm playing. So we're going to start out by playing this tonguing every note but keeping it smooth and connected. There is a repeat at the end, so after a 2 measure break to let your lips recover, then go back and play the second time. So the first time, let's play this and tongue each measure. Here we go. Everyone playing together. 1, 2, 3. Two, three. Now this time we're going to slur it through. Ready? Now, you'll need to go through that as many times as you need to get that even, where you can slur each note in the brass, where you can make those slurs without having to use your tongue. And woodwinds to where your fingers are lining up and everything's coming out nice and smooth. Okay, now let's look at number 5.01, the 6-note scale in B flat. I'm going to set my metronome at 90 beats a minute. The first time we go through this, I want you to finger and say the note names with me. So let's do this one time through with you fingering and saying the note names. The first thing you always look at on this is the key signature. Here we go. Finger and say the names. 1, 2. Okay, now the next time we do this, I want you to play along with me. Notice that I made it all the way through that on one breath. So you should be able to do the same thing. I'm going to slow it down a little bit so that you can get more of the notes. Then we'll come back later and play this again, and you can pick up the tempo. So we're going to set it at 80 beats a minute and play through it together. Then you can come back later and play through with my first tempo, or practice it with your metronome. Here we go. Play with me. 1, 2. Okay, now let's look at number 5.02, the 6-note scale in E flat. I'll raise that back up to 90, so that way I'll be able to go through it on one full breath. Finger along, say the note names, look at the key signature first. Here we go. 502, 6-note scale in E flat. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, we'll slow it back down. I want you to play with me this time. Once again, once you're done at a slower speed, take your metronome, pick up the tempo. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2. Sorry about that, started on the wrong one. But you can hear it and play back through that without me. Okay, we are now in the Dixon method book that I posted in your Google Classroom. We're still in chapter 15, like we were last week, but we're beginning with 15.06, which is a new note in your book for everyone. So I want you to take a minute, look at that new note, play it, check your fingering in your fingering chart if you need to. We're not going to do that together. So now we're going to look at 1507, Yankee Doodle. This is a familiar melody. The goal to this is to try to go all the way through these 4 measures on one breath. You do not have to play all 5 of these exercises every day. Pick one a day, go through it, master it, and then go on to the next one. But make sure you do all 5. 07, 08, 09, 10, and 11 during this week. So the first one we're going to do is Yankee Doodle. So I want you to finger and count with me the first time. It's in 4/4 time. Let's check the key signature. For C instruments, we have 1 flat, B flat. All your A's and E's are natural. For B flat instruments, we have F sharp. And for E flat instruments, we have F sharps and C sharps. It's in 4/4 time. I'm going to set the metronome at about 100 beats a minute. So finger and count with me the first time. Here we go. 1, 2, ready? All right. Now it's your turn to play with me. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Okay, now let's look on at number 1508. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. I'm going to slow this down just a little bit to 90 beats a minute. We're in a new key signature. C instruments, we have B flats and E flats. All A's are natural. B flat instruments, there's nothing in your key, so every note is natural, even B natural. E flat instruments, you have F sharp. Now, the first time through this, I want you to finger with me, and then we'll play on the second time. Watch out for the accidentals. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, finger along. And that's probably a little slower than you're familiar with that piece, but that's a good practice tempo. Once you get it worked out, then you can pick it up a little bit on your metronome. You can raise that tempo to around 120, and it'll be closer to what you're used to hearing. So now this time we're going to play it again at 90 beats a minute, and I want you to play with me. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go. Now, let's look at number 1509, My Country 'Tis of Thee. The key signature has changed here. For B flat instruments, you have an F sharp, and all your B's are natural. For C instruments, B flat. All A's and E's are natural. And for E flat instruments, F sharps and C sharps. This is a melody that we should be very familiar with. We're going to try to phrase this where we play the first 6 measures as our first phrase, and then the remainder as our second phrase. If you have to grab a breath somewhere in there, then just try not to breathe at the bar lines. So I've got my metronome set at 90, and it's in 3/4 time. So finger along with me the first time and count. Here we go. 1, ready, and. notice I had to take a breath. I breathed in the middle of a measure, not on a bar line. So when we try to phrase this, we want to make the first 6 measures grow slightly and decay. The same thing for the remaining 8. And if you need to grab a breath somewhere in there, that's fine. Okay, this time play with me. Here we go. 1, ready, and... Alright, you can repeat that as many times as you need to. You can always rewind these videos and play it again with me, or you can set your metronome and play it without me. So now we're going to look at 1510, America the Beautiful. I'm going to slow this down to 85 beats a minute. We're in 4/4 time. C instruments, we look at our key signature, we have B flats and E flats in our key. And no A's. A's are all natural. B flat instruments have nothing, so all your B's are natural. And E flat instruments have F sharp. So let's look at this. This starts on count 4. So I'll let the metronome go. I'll give you 4 and then 3, and then I want you to finger and count with me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, now it's your turn to play, and we'll start this the same way. I'll give you 4 and 3, and then you play with me. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 1, ready, now. Now, let's look at 1511. For 1511, we're still in 4/4 time. Our key signature for C instruments has a B flat, means all E's and A's are natural. For B flat instruments, we have F sharp with B naturals. And for E flat instruments, we have F sharps and C sharps. We have a dotted quarter note here, so 1, hold, 2, and 3, and 4, and. We want to make sure that we hold that dotted quarter note for a full beat and a half, and that the 8th note comes on and. So I want you to finger with me the first time, and finger and count with me the first time. The second time we'll play together. We're going to try to make 4 measures on a breath, and if you notice underneath the second line, it shows you a crescendo, decrescendo. We're going to try to do that on the first line as well, so we can make that phrase a little bit better. So, 85 beats a minute, and I'll give you 4. 1, 2, finger along. time, play with me. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Okay, that concludes this Dixon Method book section for this week. Now let's look at our Tradition of Excellence book on page 14. We're on number 62, Warm-Up Chop Builder. For brass, every note in the first two measures is fingered the same. Open for trumpets, for valved instruments, first position for trombones. Everything in the second two measures, measure 3 and 4, is fingered second valve for valved instruments, second position for trombones. The fourth, the fifth and sixth measures, everything is fingered first valve for valved instruments, third position for trombones, and the last two measures are, you just have to finger what's there, because the accidentals do change your fingers a little bit. So, I want you to play this along with me. This is a nice addition to our warm-up. So I'll count you off and just finger along with me. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, now. And you can repeat that as many times as you would like. And play along with me or play on your own. That's just a good way to get the lips loosened up and build a little bit of muscle and endurance. Now we're looking at number 63, theme from Symphony No. 5. This was written by Beethoven. It's a very famous piece that I think you'll recognize. This is what marked the change between what musicologists call the classical period and the romantic period. This was the first in the new style. This was written to paint a picture, and the picture that this is, it's been said that it was supposed to be a knock on the door. He's knocking on somebody's door as he plays this. Da 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 da. That's the knock on the door. So it's allegro, so it's kind of quick. I've slowed it down to 100 beats a minute. I want you to finger and count with me the first time through, then we'll play it together. I'll give you 1, 2, ready, and then we'll finger and count. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Alright, now this time, play with me. Look at your key signature. C instruments, B flat and E flat. B flat instruments, nothing. Saxophones, 1 sharp, F sharp. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, now. Alright, now, if you notice on the second line, the third measure and fourth measure is rest and 2 and 1, hold 1. The eighth note in the beginning of the next measure after the half note actually belongs to the measure with the half note. So we don't want to breathe during that half note. Let's stop this. And let's look at Now let's take a look at number 64, Skill Builder. Let's look at our key signature. This is a very different key from what we've had on the other two pieces. For C instruments, you have B flats, E flats, A flats, and D flats. For B flat instruments, trumpets and clarinets, you have B flat and E flat, and saxes have a B flat. So let's make sure we're all in the right key signature. This does have a repeat. So I want you to finger and say the note names with me. I'm going to slow it down so you can say the note names, making sure we're saying the flat for those notes that are flat. Here we go. Say the note names with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to play this together. We're going to speed it up just a little bit. So it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Watching your flats. Here we go. 1 and 2 and repeat now. Now, number 65 is a clapping count. So we're going to clap and count that together. I'm going to set my metronome at 90 beats a minute. And it's two beats to the measure. So we're going to clap and count this. Notice, in the first measure, we start with an eighth note, but we have a quarter note that follows it. So that causes syncopation. Remember, syncopation is when a strong note comes on a weak beat. So a quarter note would normally come on a number, where in this it comes on and, going up. So if we clap and count this, it would be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 hold 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 hold 2. All right? So do that with me. Got the metronome started. Here we go. 1, 2, clap and count. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2. Now let's play that together, playing on the note that is given here. So look at the note just above. It tells you which note to play, and play this rhythm on that note with me. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, now. All right. Now let's look at number 66. Number 66 uses the rhythm that we just worked on in number 65, and this will be your test on Flipgrid for this week, Friday the 10th of April. So make sure we play on the right Flipgrid. Now, when you play your Flipgrid test, I have to be able to see your face and your hands just like you're seeing mine while I'm playing. So I want you to finger and count with me the first time through this. Look at the key signature. Make sure you're in the right key signature. And we'll finger and count. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Notice on the syncopation I'm putting a little bit more weight on the quarter note on the off beat to give it that forward motion feel. Now I'm going to start the metronome. I'm going to play number 66. I want you to finger with me. Finger and count. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, now. Okay, this time we're going to play it together. Ready? Get your horns up. Look at the key signature one more time. This is your test for this week. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Alright, so that is your test. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to get 5 points of extra credit. When you do your flip grid test, I have to see your face and your hands, but I want you to tell me what I'm fixing to show you as you start your test. If you'll tell me what I have in my hand at the beginning of your flip grid test, then I'll give you 5 extra points. So, your test is number 66. Make sure I see your fingers and your face. And that's done by Friday, by 3:30 on Friday.